Hey guys, and welcome to the video. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about cravings and emotional eating. So this topic is by far the biggest thing that I get asked about on a day-to-day basis. And in this video I'd just like to just kind of go over the reasons why you have cravings to quite a deep level, and offer some sort of roots and thoughts around how you can start to make some changes to have more control over what you eat and how it affects you. So let's get into the video. So first of all, a really big misconception. So if you do have a lot of cravings, you emotionally eat, and you feel that you have a lack of control when you're eating certain foods, there's nothing wrong with you. You're not sick, you're not ill, and you're not broken. All that's happened is that you've subconsciously learnt a set of behaviours and patterns which don't really support you in your daily life, which don't support your goals, which don't support basically positive things in your life. And when I say that they don't support you and they don't help you, they must help you in some way because you have learnt them for some reason. And they're usually linked to things like low self-esteem, low confidence, and basically self-doubt. So the behaviours you've learned, they help sort of cover up these things. They help you feel better in these situations, but they're not helping you in the long term. They're not solving these problems. They're more of a cover for these which cause other detrimental problems in your life. So when we think about anything in life, including weight loss, it all comes back to how we feel and our happiness. And how we feel is affected by two main things. It can be affected by external factors, so how things influence our feelings. It could be our work, our friends, the way we look, etc. Or it could be the other way around. It could be internally, how we accept those things. So how we accept judgment, how we accept people's opinions, how we accept things that go on around in our lives, things that we don't necessarily have control of, but we have control of how we feel about them. So the external factors, so like the outside in mindset, we let things around us control us, how we feel. So it could be basic things like food you eat because it changes the way you feel, but it might be things like you go shopping, buy things to change the way you feel. It might be things like drugs or alcohol. Those all make you feel in a different way, basically. They change your state. But it also might be praise from other people. You might seek praise. You might do things, or you might try to achieve something to feel better, basically. But then we have the opposite of that as well. We have the internal, the inside-out approach. So that's where you do things to make yourself happy. You have certain values, you follow them. You don't take judgments from other people as something that affects you. Maybe you accept it, but it doesn't affect the way you feel. You don't need to lose weight to change the way you feel. You have control. You don't need to use willpower to get you through your day. Things like stress, tiredness, and sadness, you don't control through food or alcohol, drugs, buying things. You can change your state because of the way you accept and deal with things. And it's this inside-out, intrinsic approach that you're aiming for, where you are just you and you do things to make yourself happy. Things around you don't affect your happiness. It's not affected by drugs, alcohol, food. And you don't look for praise. You're just you. You have your identity, you have your values, and you follow what you believe in. Like I said, the things around you are not controlling the way you feel, because that is the big problem with most people that are really craving a lot of foods, because it's one thing that is controlling their feelings and one thing that is controlling their state. So we really want to get away from that mindset. With an outside-in, external approach, everything is based on that feeling and that happiness that's there. And anything that's unbalanced can upset it, and it can make you not feel good. So that's why you seek these things. So with food especially, with cravings, you use them to stabilize the ship. If something happens in your day, if you're stressed, if you're tired, if you're sad, if you're not getting the praise you need, if something happens at work, you're using food, you're using cravings to bring back that feeling. And part of that is losing weight and looking good to keep that feeling of happiness. And not just the actual losing weight, but the constant achievement of dropping the pounds, because it's that sense of achievement which gives you that the feed, the drip of happiness, and the drip of sense of self-worth, which you need to try and maintain, you want to try and maintain. You start to only feel good when you're achieving things, and when you're not, you need something to fulfill yourself. You need something to create that feeling of happiness, the feeling of content inside you. And you go to foods. You want that chocolate, the cake, the pizza, whatever you use to satisfy your cravings. And it's from a place of fear. You're scared of losing that identity, losing the place where you are. You want to feel happy. You want to feel satisfied. So basically, you're trying to protect this feeling of happiness. You don't want it to go away. And everything you do, your reactions and the actions you take on a day-to-day basis, are to protect this thing, because it's so important to you, because you're basing everything on it. And this leads to perfectionism, a need to be in control all the time, when sometimes you can't control everything that's going on around you. It leads to a black and white, all or nothing mindset. You can only do it one way. You don't want to risk losing what you have. And this creates stress, and it makes your life difficult. It means you're always on, and you're not satisfied. And then you start to lose this feeling of happiness, and then you need to control it. You need to bring it back. So you start to crave things to bring back that certainty, bring back the happiness. So that chocolate, that cake, the ice cream, that can temporarily restore that feeling and make you feel good again. So basically, you got a fear of losing your identity, this happiness that you've told yourself you have to have, this state that must be. And it leads to the perfectionism and, like I said, the fear. So your actions reflect this. And in the short term, when there is a threat of losing it, you use things to control it. And that's where the cravings come in, the chocolate, the cake, the ice cream, because on a short-term level, it makes you feel better, it makes you satisfied, it secures that identity. However, like I said at the beginning, it's these things that have created unconscious, subconscious patterns and habits which don't help you towards your goal. They help you solve that problem that you've created, that you've identified as something that you want. However, there is another way. So the answer is that you are you, and your fulfillment and development over time creates your happiness. And it's a separate part which is not affected by the things that are going on around you. So because the things that are going on around you are not affecting your happiness anymore, the happiness is a result. You don't need these things to make you feel better. So you don't need external things to make you feel better, like food or alcohol, drugs, etc. You don't need praise from people. You don't seek praise. You don't change yourself to make people give you compliments. And challenges or unavoidable things that might happen, they don't rock the boat, because you are flexible, you are in control, you don't care if something happens that you're not expecting, because you can deal with it. Judgment, you don't care about judgment from other people, because the judgment is accepted in your mind and you interpret it how you want to. You don't use it to make you feel a certain way. And that's the difference. So you are you, and your feelings are just part of it on the side. And anything that might knock that, it might knock that, but it's not change the way you feel. So you don't need to basically medicate that. And so that's what I mean when we have these two states. Just a quick comparison. So someone who's an alcoholic or addicted to smoking, the alcohol or the nicotine becomes their normal state day to day. And when the level drops, they need to top up to make themselves feel that same way, that normal again. And the same thing with cravings and food. You have, say, the chocolate, it makes you feel better for a little while, but that quickly subsides. So you need more. And that's why you need to keep basically having more, and that's why you crave it, because it's keeping your state at a normal level. So that's why we want to take it away from the way you feel, make that part of it, but the core of you is you, and you have control and flexibility around what happens to you. So changing from this extrinsic outside in to internal, intrinsic inside out feeling and way of being is not simple. It's a journey. It takes time, working on different steps at a time, different stages at a time, but it makes you think in a different way. Your thinking goes from a short-term way of thinking, where you might crave something just to change the way you feel, to a more long-term thinking, where the choices you make influence the results you want to get. So obviously craving something doesn't influence your weight loss in a very good way. However, a more long-term way of thinking, you might decide not to have that chocolate because it might put you over your daily calories. So being in control and making choices for the long term with this internal, intrinsic way of being then starts to allow you to make the changes to reach your goal. Right, so I know that was a more deep and difficult subject to go into, and of course I can't give you all the steps you need to solve your cravings. However, I hope it gave you the idea of why you might need to crave things, why you are craving things, and just to be aware of what you need to do or the direction you need to go in to start to change the way you think about things and change the way you are to work towards your weight loss goal. So like, share and comment as always, and I'll see you in the next one.